I do want to talk about AEW, and I want to talk about their first episode of Dynamite with no crowd. And I think this is no besmirchment to WWE and what they have done, but in terms of the shows with no crowd, I think AEW absolutely hit it out of the park. I thought the opening promo with Cody, even though he didn't mention coronavirus by name, he did at least mention that, we're sort of in these troubling times and, wanting to stand together even if it meant standing at a distance. I loved how that was all shot. That opening segment was great. Kenny Omega calling for them to fire off the pyro and everything. It just that really worked, but you alluded to it earlier in the episode. What I liked more than anything from this episode of Dynamite was having the wrestlers ringside. Having some of them ringside, to me, helped mitigate the awkwardness of wrestling in an empty arena. And the more I thought about it, I was like, WWE could have some guys in there, whether it's like, you have heels on one side, almost like different cheering sections, and baby faces on the other. I thought that was brilliant. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought they put on a hell of a show. And it was an important show, too. A lot of stuff happened. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the show as well, and we'll dig more into the show, the things that came from it. But just as far as with the crowd, a couple things. One, God, I love Tony Schiavone. Just him interviewing MJF and Sean Spears, and it's like, are you guys gambling?
Tony Schiavone has been the MVP of the AEW broadcast team.
Yes.
And I told that to a buddy of mine that's Titan Tower born, bred, and will be dead. He doesn't really watch other things regularly. And he sort of like looked at me quizzically. He's like, what about JR? And I was like, honestly, man, and I love JR. I was like, Tony has been the man when it comes to the AEW broadcast. He's been the best. It's so great.
But then he was shocked that they were gambling, and then right before the cut away, he's like, he wanted in on it. So
yeah, that's sort of like what I took that almost as like an homage. There's a scene in the movie Casablanca where the prefect of police says, I'm shocked to find out that there's gambling going on in here. And then the roulette dealer comes by and goes, you're winning, sir. So I have a feeling they were sort of doing a wink and a nod to that classic. It was great stuff.
No, I was just going to say real quick also a couple things. One, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it kind of filled the ringside. I enjoy Brandy, doing the ringside announcing, going back to her SmackDown days. And
absolutely. And she was very good at it.
Yeah. But like I said, just having them around, it was just funny to hear them cheer or boo other wrestlers in the actual ring. I enjoyed it. I also kind of just the presentation. It was like, I appreciate them coming to the ring and they would do the performance, the segment in the ring, but they're talking very much to the camera. So they realize, sure, no crowd here, but we're still talking to you at home.
Yes.
It's almost like a play. You know what I mean? That's where I kind of really enjoy it. That's going back to last episode where I said, this is where your promo skills and kind of all the other aspects of wrestling outside of the actual physical part come into play, and shows if you're good at those other aspects, you can still be a very talented performer in the ring.
Quickly, let's touch upon sort of the major moments from the show. We got two big reveals and debuts on AEW, with Brodie Lee being revealed as the Exalted One. After all that time, it was not Christopher Daniels, it was not Matt Hardy, it was in fact Brodie Lee. What do you think about Brodie Lee being the Exalted One?
I'm cool with that, and it's a little bit of a bummer because this week's episode was supposed to be in New York, where Brodie Lee's from, the city that he's from. So I think for him, he was hoping to make his big debut in his hometown. Fortunately, it didn't happen, so they had to do it down in Florida. But nonetheless, I thought it was cool. I think it was kind of nice to see, clean up his facial hair, got a nice dye job going on his beard and hair, and he just looked a lot better than towards the end of his time at WWE. As far as him coming out, as far as the Dark Order, and it's been a bumpy start since when they first debuted for AEW. I think for him having that bigger presence, he's obviously overtowers the rest of the guys in the group, so it gives him that presence. He's the leader of the group, but also I think it helps bring helps legitimize the group. Obviously he has a WWE background, but it kind of helps bring the group overall on a higher higher level. You know what I mean? I think it kind of helps elevate them as well. I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, obviously he cut a great promo in that package, little dig at Vince McMahon as far as old outdated guy, didn't believe in me. You know, I'm paraphrasing, a little dig at WWE, but it shows he can talk too, and he didn't get to do a lot of that in WWE with Rowan and the Wyatt family and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what he can do. It sounds like it's a little bit of maybe creative freedom for him now, and kind of show how much of a badass he is. And I like he's going back to Brodie Lee's previous name on the indie scene. So as far as this first debut, I'm excited for it, and hopefully we can see more just cool things from him.
Yeah, I am hopeful for him as well. The Dark Order, like you said, rocky start, but they've really grown on me, so I'm all for this, and we will see what they can do together. And good for Brodie Lee now. Hopefully, feeling like his creative sort of passion can be stirred up once again. Also, debuting, and this one, legitimately surprised me how quickly this moved, but I certainly did not expect to see Vanguard 1 in an empty arena, but what a perfect time to do it. And, revealing that Broken Matt Hardy is in AEW and, throwing his lot in with Cody and the Elite. What did you think about Matt Hardy in the AEW zone?
Dude, I love it. I love the swerve. Well, one, it's pretty awesome that they got 2 debuts in one episode. Obviously, the downside, you would hope that both these debuts would have happened in front of a packed house and just hearing that pop for each one of them. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that, but nonetheless, still an awesome moment as in the swerve, because I think a lot of people thought Matt Hardy was going to be the leader of the Dark Order, the Exalted One, but it's a little bit of a swerve. He's coming in, right now, it looks like as a baby face and as the 5th member, or at least helping out the Elite fill out their group of 5 for Blood and Guts, and whenever that they said it does, I think it might not happen next week. It might be pushed off to a later date. But anyway, I'm just I think it's cool he's coming in. He's Matt Jackson says I called in a favor, and sure enough he showed up and he looks great. He was all smiles, so it just looks like a breath of fresh air for him. And so I just love, like you said, it's pretty awesome. 2 debuts one night, and just overall in the last few weeks, AEW's had some good debuts with Matt Hardy, Brodie Lee, and Lance Archer. So yes, as far as the last few weeks, they've been picking up all the big free agents that are currently or were available out there. So right now, I think a lot of people are guessing who's the next big free agent that they can go after. Maybe the Revival down the road. That's the only one that comes to mind, because I think all the other possibilities have all re-signed with WWE recently or New Japan. So for right now, hey, kudos to AEW landing some big names. It just kind of helped freshen up the roster a little bit and just add a little more depth to it.
And in the wake of these shows where there's no crowd, they still held an important show. They had a show in which 2 major debuts happened, and like you said before, that's coming on the heels of another one. So they didn't take their foot off the gas or anything like that. They absolutely delivered a kick-ass show. And also the in-ring quality this week was terrific as well. So really from top to bottom, and again with the innovation of having the some of the wrestlers ringside, that I think really, really helped tremendously with the presentation of everything. We talked about Tony Schiavone. This was just an A+ job of how to do a show during these times. I was really, really impressed.